Have you ever wondered why success seems delayed in your life? Why, no matter how much you pray or work, breakthrough feels out of reach? The truth is, God doesn't just hand over abundance. He prepares people for it. And today, I want to show you the 7 powerful signs that God may be preparing you to become a millionaire. Not just in FA, renewed mindset is always the first evidence that God is preparing you for wealth in spirit and in life. Nothing in your life can truly change until your mind changes. Transformation does not begin in your bank account, your career, or your relationships. It begins inside the way you think, perceive, and process reality. Your thoughts are the soil in which God plants seeds of destiny. If the soil is hard, unprepared, or filled with weeds, then no matter how powerful the seed, it cannot grow. That is why when God is preparing someone for abundance, He doesn't give them money first. He gives them a new way of thinking. Most people are trapped not by their circumstances, but by their mindsets. They want financial increase, but they keep operating with a poverty mentality. A poverty mentality is not about how much money you have. It is about how you view money, time, and value. You can have no money in your hand and still be wealthy in your spirit if your mindset has shifted. On the other hand, you can have $1 million in your hand, but still live in poverty because your thoughts are poor. That's why many people who suddenly come into wealth, whether through inheritance or lottery, end up losing it all. Their hands recede what their minds could not sustain. God is not interested in giving you what will destroy you. He wants you to be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that when the blessing arrives, you are prepared to handle it. When God begins to renew your mind, you start to notice a shift in what you pursue. The old version of you might have been obsessed with chasing money, chasing possessions, and chasing status. But a renewed mind begins to chase wisdom, understanding, and purpose. The focus moves from how can I get to how can I grow? Instead of asking how much money can I make, you start asking what value can I create? What problems can I solve? What legacy can I leave? That is the beginning of millionaire thinking. Because wealth is not simply the accumulation of resources. Wealth is the ability to generate solutions that others need. You can see this shift even in how you respond to challenges. With an old mindset, problems appear as roadblocks. But with a renewed mindset, problems are opportunities. Every major business, invention, or breakthrough was born out of solving a problem. God trains you to stop running from challenges and start thinking differently about them. Instead of saying, why me? You begin to say, what can I learn? What can I build out of this? That's when you know your mind is being prepared for a higher level of wealth. Another mark of a renewed mindset is how you see time. People with a poverty mentality waste time because they do not recognize its value. They spend hours on meaningless entertainment, gossip, or distractions while expecting to somehow arrive at greatness. But when your mind is renewed, you see time as the greatest currency. You realize that every hour is an investment, every day is a seed, and how you use your time determines what harvest you will reap. God trains you to steward your time wisely before He can trust you with resources. Because if you cannot manage minutes, you will not manage millions. A renewed mindset also changes how you see yourself. Many are trapped in cycles of limitation because they secretly believe they are not worthy of more. They live small because they think small. But when God renews your mind, you begin to align your identity with His vision for you. You realize that you were not created to barely survive. You were created to thrive, to lead, to influence, and to impact. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence, not because you already have the wealth in your hands, but because you know you are being shaped into the kind of person who can carry it without fear. This shift is not sudden, it is gradual. At first, you may notice that your old desires begin to fade. What once attracted you no longer has the same pull. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel empty. Your appetite for wisdom grows. Books, teachings, and knowledge that once bored you now spark your interest. These are not random changes. They are signs that your mind is being rewired for a higher dimension. God is upgrading your operating system so you can run the software of success without crashing. And let us not forget, the renewed mindset also changes how you view money itself. Instead of seeing money as something to hoard or chase, you see it as a tool to serve, a tool to build, a tool to expand God's vision in your life. You stop asking, how can I keep more? And start asking, how can I multiply and steward what I've been given? That is why the first sign God is preparing you to be a millionaire in spirit and in life is not a sudden financial blessing, but a deep transformation in the way you think. The shift in your inner world always precedes the shift in your outer world. This is about 770 words and captures the keynote in a full flowing script form. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 2 in the same 700 or 1,000 word style so that each of the 7 signs eventually becomes a full-length motivational teaching? One of the clearest signs that God is preparing you for greatness, abundance, and influence is when He begins to shape your discipline in the small areas of life. Many people dream of being trusted with big opportunities, big platforms, and big resources, but God never entrusts much to someone who cannot first handle little. Before you are handed the responsibility of managing abundance, you will be tested with scarcity. Before you are placed in charge of great responsibilities, you will be watched in how you handle simple, ordinary, daily responsibilities. This is not punishment, this is preparation. We often think that wealth begins with a big break, a sudden blessing, or a miraculous opportunity. But in truth, wealth begins with discipline. If you cannot govern yourself, you cannot govern resources. If you cannot control your impulses, you cannot control your future. Discipline is the invisible hand that builds the visible results. When God is preparing you to become a millionaire in spirit and in life, He starts by demanding order in the hidden parts of your life. Think about it. If you cannot be faithful with your mornings, why would you expect to be faithful with millions? If you cannot manage a few dollars without waste, how could you manage hundreds of thousands without corruption? If you cannot keep your word in small commitments, how could you be trusted with global influence? These questions are not meant to discourage, they are meant to reveal the process of growth. God is never in a hurry to give you something that you are not yet disciplined enough to handle. He loves you too much to let success crush you before it completes you. Discipline in the small things looks like self-control over how you spend your time. Most people lose their future not because they lack talent, but because they wasted time. They had the same 24 hours as every great leader, innovator, and influencer, but instead of planting those hours into something meaningful, they buried them in distraction. When God begins preparing you, He sharpens your awareness of time. You suddenly begin to notice how easily hours can slip away. You start cutting off unproductive habits. You wake up earlier, you focus longer, and you realize that discipline over your minutes becomes mastery over your destiny. It also looks like self-control over your appetite. If you cannot control your physical appetite, you cannot control your financial appetite. People who eat everything they crave often also spend everything they see. But discipline teaches you the power of delay, the ability to say no now so you can say yes later. When God is training you, He will often allow you to face situations where the easy option tempts you, but the wise option requires restraint. Saying no to instant gratification builds the muscle you will need to handle delayed rewards. A millionaire in spirit is one who has mastered this muscle because they know that abundance is built by consistent choices, not random luck. Discipline also reveals itself in how you handle money when you don't have much of it. If you can't manage $10, you won't manage 10,000. If you cannot save, budget, and steward small resources, greater resources will only multiply your chaos. Many people pray for God to give them more, but God is watching how they treat the little they already have. Wastefulness, carelessness, and indulgence are enemies of abundance. God uses the little to test your readiness for the greater. When you learn to stretch, manage, and maximize the small, you prove that you are trustworthy enough for the increase. Another area where discipline shows up is in your words and commitments. A person who cannot keep small promises cannot keep great covenants. God prepares you for influence by training you to let your yes be yes and your no be no. He puts you in environments where consistency matters more than charisma. This is why discipline often feels hidden. You are not being trained on a stage, you are being trained in secret. The way you handle your daily schedule, your private habits, your secret thoughts, these are all signs of whether or not you are ready for greater things. Discipline may not look glamorous, but it is the backbone of true success. A disciplined person will outlast a talented one. Talent opens doors, but discipline keeps them open. Inspiration excites you, but discipline sustains you. That is why God insists on it. He is not trying to restrict you. He is trying to strengthen you. Without discipline, wealth becomes a curse. With discipline, wealth becomes a tool. If you feel God pulling you toward structure, toward order, toward self-control in this season, do not despise it. It is not punishment. It is a sign that He is preparing you for more than what you see right now. Every act of discipline in the small is a seed that guarantees a harvest in the large. And when the day comes that increase finally meets your hands, it will not destroy you because discipline has already built the foundation strong enough to carry it. This is around 770 words again, fully expanded in that teaching style. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 3 in the same format next, so each keynote becomes part of a complete motivational script when God is preparing you to become wealthy in spirit and in life? One of the clearest signs is the awakening of a deeper spiritual hunger inside of you. This is not the ordinary desire for success or the common drive to achieve. This is a longing for something greater, a thirst for truth, wisdom, and divine direction that cannot be satisfied by temporary pleasures. Spiritual hunger is the mark of a person who is being prepared for more, because it proves that your heart is no longer content with the surface level of life. There comes a point in your journey when the things that once entertained begin to lose their appeal. The conversations you used to enjoy feel empty. The distractions that used to consume your time now feel meaningless. It's not that you suddenly became antisocial or uninterested in life. It is that your appetite is shifting. God begins to stir something in your soul that makes you crave depth instead of superficiality. That hunger is a sign. It means you are being pulled into alignment with your higher calling. True wealth begins with vision, and vision comes from connection with God. You cannot receive vision from television, from social media, or from the applause of people. Vision comes from the Spirit. And when God is about to entrust you with abundance, He first gives you a hunger for His presence, His wisdom, and His principles. You find yourself drawn to prayer in ways you did not before. You have an urge to study, to read, to listen, and to learn. You sense that there is something more to life than simply surviving day by day. That is the Spirit awakening you to your destiny. Spiritual hunger is also a sign that you are no longer satisfied with living without purpose. People who have not yet been awakened are content to live on autopilot, going through routines, chasing paychecks, and filling their lives with noise. But when God is preparing you, He removes the contentment with mediocrity. You begin to feel restless with an ordinary life. You want your existence to matter. You start asking bigger questions. Why am I here? What is my assignment? What difference am I meant to make? Those questions are not signs of confusion. They are signs of preparation. God uses questions to push you toward discovery. Another sign of spiritual hunger is that your priorities begin to change. You become more intentional about what you feed your mind and your spirit. Instead of being filled with gossip, negativity, or fear, you start seeking knowledge, encouragement, and truth. You begin filtering what you watch, what you listen to, and who you allow to speak into your life. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. When you are hungry for God's purpose, you no longer waste your appetite on junk. Just as a person who is preparing for physical strength changes their diet, a person being prepared for spiritual wealth changes their intake. And this hunger does not only draw you closer to God, it sharpens your discipline in life. You discover that the more you pursue Him, the more you also begin to grow in wisdom, in discernment, and in clarity. You start to recognize opportunities that others overlook. You hear guidance in places others only hear noise. You sense direction in decisions where others only see confusion. That is because spiritual hunger positions you to hear what others cannot hear and see what others cannot see. God increases your hunger to prepare you for responsibility. Think about it. If you do not hunger for wisdom, how can you lead wisely when resources are given to you? If you do not hunger for purpose, how can you steward wealth with vision? If you do not hunger for His presence, how can you withstand the pressures that come with success? Spiritual hunger is God's way of protecting you from the danger of shallow living. It ensures that when you receive influence, you will use it with integrity. Sometimes this hunger feels like dissatisfaction, and you may even wonder why you feel so unfulfilled by things that once made you happy. But that dissatisfaction is holy. It is proof that your spirit has outgrown certain levels. Just like a child who outgrows old clothes, you are outgrowing your old patterns of living. You are being prepared for a higher level of responsibility and abundance, and your spirit is calling for food that matches your new stage. Spiritual hunger is also contagious. As you begin to shift your appetite, you influence those around you. People notice the change in your focus, your speech, your values. Some will be drawn to it while others may resist it. But do not be alarmed. When God is preparing you, He often separates you from circles that feed your old appetite so He can connect you with environments that feed your new one. Hunger attracts provision. When you are hungry for wisdom, wisdom will find you. When you are hungry for purpose, opportunities aligned with your destiny will appear. If you find yourself in a season where you cannot settle for ordinary distractions, where your heart is restless for more, and where your appetite for truth is growing stronger, do not ignore it. That hunger is not random. It is not accidental. It is the voice of preparation. God is stirring you, feeding you, shaping you, and aligning you for the life He has called you to live. Spiritual hunger is the womb where true wealth is conceived. It is the foundation upon which abundance in life is built. And when you honor that hunger, when you feed it with truth, prayer, and wisdom, you are positioning yourself to carry not just wealth in your hands, but greatness in your spirit. That's about 760 words, fully expanded in the same teaching sermonic rhythm. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 4 next in the same 700+ word style, so you'll eventually have the entire script developed into a long, flowing message? When God is preparing you to step into abundance, to carry influence, and to handle wealth in spirit and in life, one of the most crucial signs He gives you is the testing of your integrity. Integrity is the foundation of trust, and without trust there can be no lasting success. You can have gifts, talents, and opportunities, but if your integrity is weak, those very blessings will eventually collapse under the weight of your character flaws. God, in His wisdom, never wants to elevate you to a level that your integrity cannot sustain. That is why before He blesses you with more, He tests who you are when no one is watching. Integrity is not proven in public, it is proven in private. The real measure of who are is not in what you present on the stage, but in what you practice in secret. The question is not how you act when the spotlight is on you, but how you act when no one sees, when no one can applaud you, and when no one can hold you accountable. That hidden life is the true test of readiness. God prepares you for greatness by putting you through situations that reveal your values, your motives, and your ability to remain upright even when compromise looks easier. Often these tests of integrity come in small forms. You may be tempted to cut a corner, to tell a half-truth, or to take something that does not belong to you. You may face opportunities to gain fast rewards if you are willing to sacrifice your principles. These are not random temptations, they are exams. They are divine tests designed to reveal whether you can be trusted with bigger responsibilities. If you fall easily in small matters of honesty, how could you be trusted with larger ones? If you cannot handle integrity when dealing with little resources, how will you handle it when wealth multiplies in your hands? The reason integrity is so important is because wealth without integrity does not last. Many people have risen quickly in life through manipulation, dishonesty, or shortcuts. They achieve fame, money, or influence, but without the anchor of integrity, they eventually lose it all. Corruption erodes their legacy. Scandals destroy their reputation. Betrayals undo their influence. That is why God is patient with you in your process. He knows that if He gives you abundance without integrity, the very blessing meant to uplift you could destroy you. Integrity is also tested in your relationships. God will allow people to come into your life who may mistreat you, misunderstand you, or even betray you. How you respond reveals your character. Do you repay evil for evil? Do you retaliate and compromise your values? Or do you remain consistent, choosing to honor your principles even when others do not? These relationship tests refine you. They build the strength you will need when you are dealing with larger circles of influence. If you cannot handle betrayal at a small level, how will you handle opposition when you are in positions of power? Another form of integrity testing is financial. God may allow you to be in situations where you could steal, cheat, or misuse resources. But every time you choose honesty over dishonesty, stewardship over wastefulness, faithfulness over greed, you are proving that you can be trusted. This is why Scripture often says, if you are faithful with little, you will be entrusted with much. Faithfulness is simply another word for integrity. When you show that you can be trusted with small amounts, God knows He can trust you with more. Sometimes integrity will cost you in the short term. You may lose opportunities because you refuse to lie. You may lose connections because you chose to walk in truth. You may even lose money because you refuse to compromise. But those losses are not true losses, they are investments. Every act of integrity is a seed, and every seed has a harvest. The time will come when God Himself will reward your faithfulness by opening doors that no man can shut. What many people fail to realize is that integrity is not just about doing the right thing. It is about becoming the right person. It is about aligning your heart, your actions, and your words into one consistent whole. A person of integrity is whole, not divided. They are the same in public and in private. They are consistent whether they are praised or criticized. They live by principles, not by convenience. And that is the kind of person God is looking for to carry His blessings. If you find yourself in a season of constant testing where your honesty, your loyalty, and your principles are being challenged, recognize that this is not a season of punishment, but a preparation. God is refining your integrity so that when success comes, it will not corrupt you. When influence comes, it will not twist you. When wealth comes, it will not consume you. Instead, you will carry it with humility, responsibility, and honor. The greatest sign that God is preparing you for wealth and influence is not that opportunities are opening, but that your character is being tested. Opportunities can come overnight, but integrity is forged over time. The more you pass these hidden tests, the more you qualify for the greater assignment. And when you emerge from these seasons of testing with your integrity intact, you will not only have wealth in your hands, you will have wealth in your spirit, the kind of wealth that no loss, no betrayal, and no opposition can ever take away. That's just over 750 words in the same style as the earlier expansions. Would you like me to write a conclusion for the whole script once all 7 keynotes are expanded, or should I continue with keynote 5 next? We have walked through the signs that reveal when God is preparing you to become a millionaire in spirit and in life, and each one of them points to something greater than money itself. Wealth is not first about what you hold in your hands. It is about who you are becoming in your heart, your mind, and your spirit. God never begins with the visible. He begins with the invisible. That is why the process may not always look glamorous. It may not come with applause. It may not even feel like progress. But every test, every shift, every new appetite for wisdom and truth is evidence that something greater is being formed in you. When your mind begins to renew, when discipline shapes your habits, when hunger for wisdom overtakes your appetite for distraction, and when integrity is tested in the hidden places of your life. These are not random struggles. These are signs that you are being set apart. They are signs that you are being trusted with something that cannot be taken lightly. A millionaire in spirit is not one who merely accumulates wealth, but one who is ready to steward it, multiply it, and use it for impact beyond themselves. It is important to remember that money itself is not the goal. Money is a tool. Influence is a tool. Resources are tools. The real wealth is becoming the kind of person who can handle those tools without losing their soul. God is not preparing you just to have more. He is preparing you to become more, to become trustworthy, to become disciplined, to become wise, to become a steward of abundance that will bless not only your own life, but the lives of many others. So if you find yourself in a season where your thoughts are shifting, where your habits are being challenged, where your appetite for truth is increasing, and where your character is being tested, take heart. You are not being overlooked. You are being prepared. The waiting is not a delay. It is a design. The hidden work is not wasted. It is necessary. God is aligning you with His vision because He knows that true wealth cannot be built on shaky foundations. One day the abundance will come, the resources will flow, the opportunities will open. And when they do, you will recognize that you are not the same person you once were. You will not hold them with fear or with pride. You will hold them with stewardship, with gratitude, and with purpose. That is what it means to be a millionaire in spirit first, so that when life's treasures arrive, you will not only receive them, you will sustain them. Your preparation is your proof. If you can see the signs in your life today, rejoice, because it means you are on the path of becoming. And when the becoming is complete, the abundance will follow, in answers, but in spirit and in life. Because prosperity without preparation is dangerous, but when you're prepared, no power on earth can stop your destiny.